Lagos never slept. Even at midnight, the city breathed, cars honked in impatience, streetlights flickered like tired eyes, and the Atlantic breeze carried secrets from one end of Victoria Island to the other. For Amora Okeke, that night was supposed to be ordinary. She had promised herself it would be. At 26, Amora had mastered the art of survival. She worked 2 jobs, by day, a junior event planner for a struggling firm in Suralere, by night, a freelance makeup artist for weddings, birthdays, and naming ceremonies. Life had taught her early that dreams were expensive, and poverty was not forgiving. Still, she dreamed. That evening, she stood in front of a small mirror, adjusting the simple blue dress she had borrowed from her friend, Kemi. Just one night, she whispered to her reflection. One night to breathe. She had been invited to a high-profile charity gala, not as a guest, but as part of the event crew. It was meant to be professional. Work only. Nothing more. She didn't know that before dawn, her life would collide with one of Nigeria's most powerful men. The billionaire. There Kingsley was used to silence. Not the absence of noise. Lagos was never quiet, but the silence people gave him when he entered a room. Conversations stopped. Smiles stiffened. People stood straighter. At 38, there was already a legend in business circles. Oil and gas. Real estate. Tech investments. Private jets. International awards. And loneliness. He sat in the back seat of his black SUV as it rolled toward the Grand Hotel on Victoria Island, his driver weaving effortlessly through traffic. "Sir, we've arrived," the driver said. Dare didn't respond immediately. He stared out the window, watching people laugh, argue, hustle. Normal lives. Simple lives. Tonight's charity gala was his late mother's idea, always give back, there. Wealth without kindness is emptiness. He attended every year in her honor. But tonight, something inside him felt restless. The meeting. The ballroom glowed with wealth, crystal chandeliers, flowing gowns, expensive perfumes, and laughter polished to perfection. Amara moved quietly through the crowd, clipboard in hand, giving instructions to waiters, fixing minor issues, staying invisible. That was her role. Until she bumped into him. The collision was small, but the moment wasn't. Her clipboard fell. Papers scattered. "I'm so sorry," Amora said quickly, kneeling to pick them up. A strong hand reached down to help her. "It's fine," a deep voice said. She looked up. And froze. He was taller than she expected, dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit, his face calm but intense, eyes dark and observant. For a second, neither of them spoke. Then he smiled, slightly. "You look like someone carrying the weight of the world," he said. Amora laughed nervously. "Only Lagos traffic and unpaid bills, sir." That made him chuckle. "I'm there." She hesitated. "Amora." No last name. No titles. Just 2 strangers in a crowded room. Something shifted. An unexpected conversation. They ended up talking near the balcony, away from the noise. She didn't know who he was. He didn't tell her. They talked about life, her struggles, her dreams of owning an event company one day, his vague stories about business stress and expectations. "You don't sound like the men here," she said honestly. "They talk like life owes them something." Dare studied her. Life owes no one. Everything is borrowed. That answer stayed with her. The night deepened. The city lights shimmered below them. When the music softened and the guests began to leave, Dare made a decision he hadn't planned to make. "Can I see you again?" he asked. Amara hesitated. She didn't belong in his world. But something about him felt safe. "Just tonight," she said quietly. "Nothing complicated." He nodded. "Just tonight. The one night." They didn't go to his mansion. They went to a quiet luxury hotel overlooking the ocean. Their connection wasn't rushed. It wasn't reckless. It was two lonely souls finding comfort in each other. That night wasn't about lust, it was about warmth, laughter, shared silence, and the illusion that tomorrow didn't exist. As dawn crept in through the curtains, Amora sat on the edge of the bed, pulling on her dress. "This is where it ends," she said softly. Dare washed her. "Why does it have to?" "Because reality doesn't care about beautiful nights," she replied. She left before he could say more. She didn't take his number. She didn't leave hers. She walked out of his life like a secret meant to stay buried. Or so she thought. The morning after. Weeks later, Amara stood in a pharmacy, staring at a small plastic stick in her trembling hand. 2 lines. Clear. Unforgiving. Her knees nearly gave way. "No, no, no, no," she whispered. Meanwhile, across Lagos, Dare Kingsley sat in a boardroom as his assistant whispered urgently in his ear. "Sir, there's something you should know. We found her." Dare's heart skipped. But neither of them knew yet that this one night would ignite a storm of love, betrayal, power, family opposition, and choices that would test everything they believed about destiny. Consequences. The rain came without warning. Amora stood under the leaking zinc roof of her apartment compound, watching muddy water snake its way through the cracked ground. The landlord's generator hummed somewhere in the distance, competing with the sound of crying children and arguing couples. Life hadn't paused for her shock. But inside her, everything had stopped. She pressed her palm against her flat stomach, still unable to believe what the pharmacy test had confirmed 3 times. Pregnant. By a man whose last name she didn't even know. Alone with the truth. That night, Amora sat on her narrow bed, the room dimly lit by a flickering bulb. Her phone lay beside her, useless. No number to call. No explanation to demand. No promises to hold on to. Just memories. His calm voice. The way he listened. The way he looked at her like she mattered. Tears slid down her cheeks. "How do I do this alone?" she whispered. Abortion crossed her mind, but her mother's voice echoed in her head, strong and unwavering. "No matter how hard life is, never destroy a life because of fear." Amora wrapped her arms around herself. "I'll keep it," she said aloud, trembling. "I'll survive." Dare's discovery. Across the city, Dare Kingsley stood in his penthouse, staring at the Lagos skyline through floor-to-ceiling glass. He hadn't slept properly since that night. Amora haunted him. Not because of desire, but because she had seen him without his armor. "Sir," his private investigator said carefully, "we found her." Dare turned sharply. "Where?" "She lives in Suralia. Modest apartment. 2 jobs. No scandals." The investigator hesitated. "There's more." Dare's jaw tightened. "Say it." "She's pregnant." Silence fell like thunder. Dare sank into the nearest chair. "Pregnant." His chest tightened, not with fear, but with something dangerously close to hope. "Prepare the car," he said. "We are going to see her." The unexpected visit. Amara was just returning from work when she saw the black SUV parked in front of her building. The compound went quiet, neighbors watching, curiosity burning in their eyes. Then he stepped out. "There." Her breath caught. For a moment, neither of them moved. "You found me," she finally said. "Yes," he replied softly. They stood there, the weight of unsaid words pressing between them. "Can we talk?" he asked. She nodded. Inside her tiny room, Dare took in everything, the peeling paint, the single chair, the struggle etched into the walls. He turned to her. "You should have told me. You didn't leave a way to be found," she said calmly. And I wasn't asking for anything. But you're carrying my child. The words hung in the air. Yes. Dare exhaled slowly. Then you're not alone anymore. Power meets reality. Within days, Amora's life changed. A better apartment. A doctor. Financial support. But something felt wrong. You can't just buy solutions, she told him one evening. Dare looked at her seriously. I'm not buying. I'm taking responsibility. But your word will swallow me whole. He stepped closer. Then I'll protect you from it. Neither of them noticed the storm gathering elsewhere. The Kingsley family. At the Kingsley mansion, Dare's aunt slammed her hand on the table. A poor girl. Pregnant. Without marriage, she scoffed. This is unacceptable, his uncle added. Our family name. Dare stood. I don't need permission to do the right thing. His grandmother, quiet until now, spoke. Love is not the problem, Dare, she said calmly. Power is. And power never forgives mistakes. Amora's humiliation. The first time Amora attended a Kingsley event, the whispers cut deeper than knives. That's her. She trapped him. Village girl with ambition. She smiled politely, but inside, she broke. Later that night, Dare found her crying in the bathroom. I don't belong here, she said. I never will. He held her tightly. Belonging is not given. It's claimed. But fate had other plans. Because just as love began to bloom, a woman from Dare's past returned, beautiful, powerful, and determined to destroy everything. The news broke quietly at first. A social media post. A whispered headline. A picture taken from a distance. Billionaire heir expecting a child with mystery woman. Amora saw it on her phone while sitting in a doctor's waiting room. Her heart sank. So this was how the world would know her. The return of Zora Adebayo. Zora Adebayo returned to Nigeria like a storm dressed in elegance. She was beauty and influence wrapped in confidence, an international fashion mogul with connections that stretched from Paris to Dubai. The daughter of a powerful senator. Dare's former fiancé. And the woman his family had chosen for him. When she walked into the Kingsley mansion, heels clicking against marble floors, everyone straightened. Dare, she said, smiling. You look distracted. He met her gaze calmly. You're back. Yes, she replied. And I hear you've been busy. The warning. Zara requested to meet Amora. Alone. They met at a high-end cafe in Ikoyi. Amora arrived nervous but composed. Zara studied her like a puzzle. So you're the one, Zara said smoothly. You don't look dangerous. I'm not trying to be, Amora replied. Zara smiled. Good. Then you'll understand when I say this, Dare and I have history. And families. And expectations. Amora folded her hands. I didn't plan this. Neither do accidents, Zara replied coldly. But they're cleaned up every day. Amora stiffened. My child is not an accident. Zara's eyes hardened. Everything has a price. The betrayal. Days later, chaos erupted. A leaked story claimed Amora had faked the pregnancy to extort money from Dare. Blogs exploded. Friends turned distant. Strangers insulted her online. Amora watched Dare read the article, rage flickering across his face. This is a lie, he said. But doubt crept in from every direction. DNA test, his uncle insisted. Publicly. Amora's heart shattered. You believe them? She asked Dare quietly. He hesitated. Just for a second. That second destroyed everything. Walking away. Amora packed her bags that night. I won't raise my child in shame, she said. Amora, wait, Dea reached for her. You chose silence when you should have chosen me. She left. Without security. Without money. Without looking back. The truth unfolds. The DNA results arrived days later. Positive. Undeniable. Dea crushed the paper in his hand. She set her up, he growled. Zara was exposed. But Amara was gone. A woman reborn. Months passed. Amara moved to a quieter town. She gave birth to a baby girl, Nkiru Kingsley. Holding her child, Amara whispered, "You are enough." With or without anyone. The billionaire's regret. Dea stood alone in his mansion, staring at a tiny pink bracelet left behind. Power meant nothing. Money meant nothing. He had lost the one thing that mattered. And fate was not done with him yet. Because years later, their paths would cross again, under circumstances neither could control. 7 years passed. Time moved forward, but some wounds refused to close. Amara's new life. Amara stood in the middle of a large event hall in Abuja, giving confident instructions to her staff. Lights in 5 minutes. Make sure the bride's entrance song is ready. She was no longer the struggling girl from Sorale. AM Events and Experiences had become one of the most sought-after boutique event companies in the country. Her name carried weight now, not because of scandal, but because of excellence. And at the center of her world was Nkiru. At 7 years old, Nkiru was curious, intelligent, and sharp-tongued, just like her father. "Mommy," Nkiru asked one evening, "why don't I have a daddy?" Amara paused. "Some people are not ready to be parents," she said gently. "But you are deeply loved." Nkiru smiled. "That's enough for me." Amara turned away, blinking back tears. The billionaire who lost everything. Dea Kingsley had it all. And yet, he had nothing. Though his empire had grown, his personal life had collapsed. Zara was gone, her name stained by scandal. His family no longer challenged him, but their silence felt like judgment. Every birthday, he sent gifts to an address that never replied. He never stopped looking. Destiny's cruel joke. The reunion came without warning. Amara attended a high-profile government gala in Abuja, this time as a guest of honor. When they walked in, the room shifted. Their eyes met across the hall. Time froze. Her heart thundered. His breath caught. 7 years of regret stood between them. The child. Later that evening, Nkiru tugged at Amara's dress. "Mommy, that man keeps looking at me." Amara turned. Dea stood there. His knees nearly buckled. She had his eyes. His posture. He saw. "This is my daughter," Amara said firmly. Dea swallowed hard. "Hello, Nkiru." Nkiru tilted her head. "Do you know my mommy?" "Yes," he whispered. "I should have known her better." The truth spoken. They spoke privately for the first time in years. "I searched," Dea said. "I never stopped." "You stopped believing," Amara replied. "I was weak." She met his gaze. Weakness has consequences. A child's choice. Days later, Nkiru asked a question that shook everything. "Can I get to know my daddy?" Amara froze. Dea looked at her, hope trembling. She exhaled slowly. "For her," she said. "We'll try." Not everyone is happy. News of the reunion spread. And someone from the shadows watched closely. Because the past was not finished. And the price of one night was still being paid. Forgiveness did not come easily. Amara made that clear from the beginning. "You don't get to walk back into our lives because you feel guilty," she told Dea as they sat across from each other in a quiet Abuja cafe. "Nkiru is not an apology tour." Dea nodded slowly. "I know. I'm here to earn my place." even if it takes forever. She studied his face, searching for arrogance. She found none. A father learning from scratch. They started small. School visits. Homework assistance. Weekend outings, with Amora always present. Nkiru was cautious at first, watching him like a puzzle she wasn't sure she wanted to solve. One evening, as they walked hand in hand through a park, she asked, "Why didn't you come before?" They knelt beside her. "Because I made a very big mistake. And I'm sorry." She nodded thoughtfully. "Okay. Just don't make it again." His throat tightened. "I won't. Love that feels different." Amora noticed the changes. He listened now. He waited. He respected boundaries. But her heart stayed guarded. "You're different," she admitted one night. "I had 7 years to learn regret," he replied. The shadow returns. Trouble returned wearing a familiar face. Zora Adebayo resurfaced. Not with romance, but revenge. She had lost everything: reputation, influence, favor. And she blamed Amora. "Take her down quietly," Zara instructed her fixer. "I want her ruined." The scandal. A forged document circulated online, claiming Amora had stolen funds from a charity event years ago. Clients cancelled. Contracts froze. Amora's company teetered on collapse. They stormed into her office. "This is Zara. I won't hide behind your power," Amora said. "I'll fight this my way." But Zara had underestimated two things: Amora's strength and theirs loyalty. The counter-strike. They unleashed the truth. Evidence. Bank trails. Recorded confessions. Zara's final attempt at relevance crumbled publicly. She was arrested for fraud and defamation. The ultimatum. That night, Amora stood on her balcony. "I'm tired," she admitted. "Of fighting. Of doubting." They stepped closer. "Then let me carry the weight with you." She looked at him. "This is your last chance." He nodded. "I know." The proposal. Weeks later, during Nkiru's birthday party, they knelt. Not for the crowd, but for his family. "Amora Okeke," he said, voice steady, "will you marry me, not because of the past, but because of the future we choose every day?" Nkiru clapped excitedly. "Say yes, mommy." Amora's eyes filled with tears. "Yes," she whispered. Peace at last. The wedding date was set. Joy returned. But peace is fragile. Because secrets buried for years don't stay buried forever. And one final truth was about to surface. 3 weeks to the wedding. The Kingsley estate buzzed with activity: tailors, decorators, planners, security. It was meant to be the society wedding of the year. But beneath the celebration, truth was sharpening its teeth. The visitor. Amora was reviewing seating arrangements when the gate security called. "Madam, there's a woman here asking for Mr. Dare. She says it's urgent." Amora frowned. "Who is she?" She refused to give her name. "But she has a child." Something twisted in Amora's stomach. "Let her in." The other child. The woman stood nervously in the living room, holding the hand of a boy about 9 years old. When Dare walked in, his face drained of color. "No," he whispered. Amora felt the room spin. The woman spoke quietly. "My name is Lydia. This is Tosin. He's your son." Silence. Heavy. Crushing. The confession. That night, Dare told the truth. Years before Amora, during the darkest period of his life, there had been another woman. A short relationship. A pregnancy he never knew about. "She never told me," Dare said, voice shaking. "I only found out today." Amora stared at him. How many surprises does your past still have? She asked calmly. He dropped to his knees. I swear to you, I hid nothing on purpose. A woman's heart. Amora locked herself in her room that night. Not because of jealousy, but fear. She had fought too hard to protect her peace. Could she walk into a marriage carrying someone else's unfinished story? Nkiru meets Tosin. The next day, Nkiru met Tosin. They stared at each other. You have my daddy's face, Nkiru said. Tosin smiled shyly. You have his eyes. They laughed. Something inside Amora cracked. The choice. Amora called their outside. I won't compete with ghosts, she said. But I won't punish a child for adult mistakes. He nodded. Whatever you decide, I'll accept it. She took a deep breath. We move forward, with honesty. Or not at all. The mother's test. Lydia confessed everything. She had been young. Afraid. Manipulated by fear. She wasn't after money. She just wanted her son acknowledged. Amora believed her. The final obstacle. The Kingsley family panicked. 2 children out of wedlock. Theirs uncle barked. This wedding must be postponed. Theirs stood tall. My life is not a PR project. Amora's decision. That night, Amora knelt beside Nkiru's bed. Mommy, Nkiru said softly, families can be big, right? Amora smiled through tears. Yes, my love. Standing at the altar. Wedding day arrived. Amora stood in white, heart steady. When the priest asked, do you take? She looked at Nkiru. At Tosin sitting in the front row. Yes, she said firmly. A love that survived truth. The kiss wasn't perfect. It was real. And that was enough. Marriage did not soften life. It revealed it. The new Mrs. Kingsley. Amora Kingsley woke up every morning to a view she once thought belonged to another universe, glass walls, ocean breeze, quiet luxury. Yet peace was harder to find than wealth. She wasn't just a wife. She was now a stepmother. A public figure. A woman under constant scrutiny. Every move she made was watched. Blended, not broken. Nkiru adjusted quickly. Tosin struggled. He was polite, distant, always careful not to take too much space. One evening, Amora found him alone in the garden. Why don't you play with your sister? She asked gently. She's not really my sister, he replied. Amora sat beside him. Family is built, not born. And this house is yours too. For the first time, Tosin smiled. The betrayal from within. The real danger came from where they least expected. His cousin and business partner, Connor Kingsley, had been stealing from the company for years, laundering money through shell accounts. The discovery was explosive. If this goes public, we'll lose everything, Dare said grimly. Amora looked at him. Then tell the truth. The board will destroy me. Or lies will. A test of values. The board demanded silence. Cover it up. Pay fines quietly. Protect the brand. Dare hesitated. Amora didn't. If you protect corruption, she said, you teach our children that power is above consequence. That night, Dare made the hardest decision of his life. He exposed everything. The 4 shares plummeted. Headlines screamed. Kingsley Empire in crisis. Dare resigned temporarily as CEO. Friends disappeared. Invitations stopped coming. For the first time in years, there was not a billionaire in control. He was just a man. The woman who stayed. Amora didn't flinch. She sold personal assets to support the company's staff. She moved the family out of the mansion, by choice. Luxury taught me nothing, she said. Struggle did. They stared at her in awe. I don't deserve you. She replied calmly, then become someone who does. The children watch. Nkiru noticed everything. Mommy, are we poor now? Amora laughed softly. No. We are honest. Tosin spoke quietly. That's better. The comeback begins. Months passed. The truth did what lies never could, it rebuilt trust. Investors returned. The heir was reinstated. But this time, the empire looked different. Smaller. Cleaner. Human. Love without illusions. One night, they held Amara close. I thought love was passion, he said. But it's loyalty. She smiled. And courage. They had survived wealth, scandal, and truth. But life still had one final lesson to teach. The call came at 2:17 a.m. Amara woke up with a strange heaviness in her chest even before the phone rang. Madam Kingsley, the doctor's voice trembled slightly, it's Tosin. He collapsed. The ward tilted. The hospital night. The emergency room lights were harsh. Too bright. Too unforgiving. Tosin lay unconscious, wires attached to his small body. Congenital heart defect, the doctor explained. It was undetected. He needs surgery. Soon. There's knees buckled. I'll pay anything, he said desperately. The doctor hesitated. It's not about money. The best surgeon is abroad. And the odds? He didn't finish. A mother's decision. That night, Amara sat beside Tosin's bed. She took his small hand. You belong, she whispered. And I will fight for you. Without hesitation, she made calls. Sold investments. Cancelled projects. Put her company on hold. Everything she had built, again, was placed on the line. They are watched helplessly. You've sacrificed enough, he said. She shook her head. This is family. The journey. They flew out within days. The surgery lasted 8 hours. Amara prayed until her knees ached. Nkiru waited quietly, holding Dare's hand. The moment of truth. The surgeon emerged. We did our best, he said. Silence stretched. Will he live? Dare whispered. The surgeon smiled. He's strong. He pulled through. Amara collapsed in tears. A child's confession. Days later, Tosin woke fully. Amara sat beside him. Mommy, he whispered. You didn't have to save me. She smiled through tears. Yes, I did. For real, he asked. She nodded. For life. He hugged her. And something healed. The man who chose right. Dare watched his family from the doorway. Power had failed him before. Love had not. He knelt beside Amara that night. You saved my son, he said. You saved me. She replied softly, we saved each other. Returning home. They returned to Nigeria changed. The press tried to pry. They refused interviews. Some things were sacred. The final test approaches. But fate was not done. Because while they were gone, someone had been watching. Someone who believed Amara didn't deserve the life she had fought for. And one last confrontation waited in the shadows. They returned to Lagos quietly. No announcements. No interviews. No celebrations. But peace, once tasted, always attracts envy. The woman who never forgot. Her name was Mrs. Beatrice Okeke. Amora's mother. And she was angry. For years, Beatrice had watched her daughter disappear into silence, first after the pregnancy, then after the scandal, then into wealth she did not understand. She loved Amora. But love mixed with bitterness is dangerous. She thinks money makes her better than us, Beatrice told a journalist who came disguised as a family friend. She abandoned her roots. The interview went viral. The exposure. Headlines exploded again. Billionaire's wife accused of abandoning poor family. From Surale to billions, what did Amora sacrifice? Old photos surfaced. Her past struggles were dragged out for entertainment. Comment sections burned. Dare slammed his laptop shut. I'll shut this down. Amora stopped him. No, she said quietly. This one is mine. A daughter's pain. Nkeru came home from school in tears. They said you're ashamed of grandma, she sobbed. Amora knelt in front of her daughter. I'm not ashamed of where I came from, she said firmly. I'm proud I survived it. She held her close. The confrontation. Amora traveled alone to her hometown. Beatrice sat outside, arms folded. So you finally remembered us, she snapped. Amora took a deep breath. I never forgot. I just learned how to breathe without drowning. Tears spilled. You left me, Beatrice whispered. No, Amora replied gently. I left pain. Silence fell. The truth no one wanted. Beatrice confessed. She had sold the story out of anger, not money. I felt replaced, she said. By your new life. Amora held her mother's hands. You were never replaced. But I had to grow. They cried. For years lost. For words never said. The public response. Amora released a short statement. No accusations. No explanations. Just truth. I am the daughter of struggle. I am the wife of a man who learned humility. I am the mother of 2 children who will never be ashamed of where they come from. The public softened. Respect returned. The man who stood quietly. Through it all, they stayed silent. When asked why, he said simply, strong women don't need rescuing. They need support. They come after. Beatrice moved closer to Lagos. Slowly, bridges were rebuilt. Amora didn't erase her past. She embraced it. One last scene. One night, sitting by the ocean, Dare asked softly, if you could change that one night, would you? Amora smiled. No. Because it led me here. She looked at their children playing nearby. That one night didn't define us, she said. What we chose after did.